Elena Matthews dropped to her knees on the cold vault floor, her pregnant belly pressing against stacks of $100 bills. "This can't be real," she whispered, her hands shaking as she grabbed a bundle of cash. "This can't be happening to me." $260 million surrounded her like walls of a prison she'd just inherited from a stranger. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, a text from an unknown number. "I know what you found. That money is mine. You have 48 hours before I destroy everything you love." Elena's blood turned to ice. Someone was watching. Someone knew. And somewhere across town, Victoria Harrison smiled at her phone and said to her lawyer, "The little cleaning woman just walked into my trap. Now I take back everything my uncle stole from this family." If you want to discover how a desperate widow fights to protect her children from people who will kill for this fortune, subscribe now and watch until the very end. Comment your city below so I can see how far this story travels. Elena Matthews had $47 to her name when she woke up that Tuesday morning. She knew because she'd counted it 3 times the night before, trying to figure out how to stretch it until her next paycheck. $47. 2 gallons of milk, 1 loaf of bread, maybe some peanut butter if she skipped lunch for the rest of the week. Her 7-year-old daughter Lily needed new shoes. The soles were separating from the canvas, and Elena had glued them twice already. The baby growing inside her needed prenatal vitamins. The landlord needed rent that was 53 days overdue. $47 wasn't going to save anyone. "Mama, I'm hungry." Lily stood in the kitchen doorway, still wearing her pajamas, her dark hair tangled from sleep. She looked so much like Michael that Elena's heart cracked a little more every time she saw her. Michael, her husband, dead 3 months now from cancer that had eaten him alive, while Elena watched helplessly, unable to afford the experimental treatments that might have saved him. "I know, baby. Let me make you some toast." "We're out of bread." Elena closed her eyes. Of course they were out of bread. She'd given Lily the last 2 slices yesterday. "Okay, let me see what else we have." She opened the refrigerator. Half a jar of pickles, a bottle of ketchup, some leftover rice from 3 days ago that was probably bad by now. "Can I have cereal?" "We're out of milk, baby." Lily's face fell. She didn't complain. She didn't cry. She'd learned months ago that crying didn't change anything. That was the worst part. Her 7-year-old daughter had learned that wanting things was pointless, that hunger was normal, that her mother couldn't provide the basics. "I'm not that hungry anyway," Lily said quietly. Elena felt something break inside her. She crossed the kitchen and pulled her daughter into her arms, holding her tight, fighting back tears. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." "It's okay, Mama. You're doing your best." She was 7 years old, and she was comforting her mother. 7 years old, and she'd already given up on having enough. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from her supervisor at the VA hospital. "Morning shift starts in 45 minutes. Late again, and you're terminated." She couldn't lose this job. Without it, they'd be on the street within a week. "Get dressed, baby. Mrs. Chen will take you to school." "Are you working again today?" "Yes." "You're always working." "I know. Daddy used to play with me after school." The words hit like a physical blow. Elena tightened her grip on her daughter. "I know he did, baby. I'm sorry I can't be here more." "It's okay." Lily pulled back and looked up at her mother with eyes that were far too old for her face. "I know you're trying to take care of us. Daddy told me before he died. He said you were the strongest person he ever knew." Elena couldn't speak, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything except hold her daughter and pray that somehow, someday, things would get better. Her phone buzzed again. 35 minutes? Last warning?" "Go get dressed," Elena whispered. "I love you." "I love you too, Mama." Lily ran to her room, and Elena stood alone in the kitchen, one hand pressed against her pregnant belly, wondering how much longer she could keep going before she collapsed completely. The baby kicked, a reminder that in 6 weeks she'd have another mouth to feed, another life depending on her. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. The VA medical center was 20 minutes away if traffic was light. Traffic was never light in Phoenix at 5:30 in the morning. Elena pulled into the employee parking lot with 2 minutes to spare, her ancient Toyota coughing and sputtering the whole way. The car was dying. The transmission made grinding noises. The check engine light had been on for 6 months, but she couldn't afford to fix it, and she couldn't afford to replace it, so she kept driving and praying. Her supervisor was waiting at the employee entrance, arms crossed, face like thunder. "You're late." Elena checked her phone. "I still have 1 minute." "Your shift started at 6. It's 6:01. The parking lot clock said 5:59 when I pulled in." I don't care what the parking lot clock said. My clock says you're late. Her supervisor thrust a mop bucket toward her. 3rd floor, the whole wing, and I want it done by the end of your shift or don't bother coming back tomorrow. Elena took the bucket without a word. Arguing would only make things worse. She'd learned that lesson months ago. The elevator was broken, so she climbed 3 flights of stairs with the heavy bucket, her pregnant belly, straining against her uniform, her back screaming with every step. The 3rd floor was quiet at 6 in the morning. Most patients were still sleeping. Elena began mopping at the far end of the hall, working her way methodically toward the nurse's station. She'd been at this job for 8 months now. 8 months of mopping floors and scrubbing toilets and being invisible to everyone around her. 8 months of watching nurses and doctors rush past like she wasn't there. 8 months of wondering if this was all her life would ever be. She was passing room 312 when she heard it. A crash, then a groan. Something heavy hitting the floor. Elena froze. Protocol said to call a nurse. Protocol said cleaning staff should never enter patient rooms without authorization. But the groan came again, weak, pained, frightened. Someone was hurt. Elena pushed open the door. An elderly man lay crumpled on the floor beside his bed. His walking cane was several feet away, knocked over in his fall. His hospital gown had twisted around his thin legs, and his face was white with shock. "Sir, are you hurt?" She dropped to her knees beside him, forgetting protocol, forgetting her job, forgetting everything except the human being in front of her who needed help. "Don't call anyone," the old man gasped. "Please, they'll put me in restraints. They'll say I'm a fall risk. I can't be tied down again. Not again." "I need to check if you're injured. Can you move your arms and legs?" He moved them slowly. Nothing appeared broken. "I'm fine, just old and stupid. Thought I could make it to the bathroom myself." "Let me help you up." "You'll get in trouble. I heard your supervisor yelling at you in the hall." Elena was already sliding her arms under his shoulders. "I've been in trouble my whole life. What's one more time?" She helped him to his feet, steadying him as his legs found their strength. He was lighter than she expected. Too thin. Too frail. The kind of thin that came from disease eating a body from the inside out. "There's a chair by the window," he said. "If you could help me there." Elena guided him across the room and helped him settle into the chair. She grabbed a blanket from the bed and tucked it around his legs without thinking. "You didn't have to do that," he said quietly. "You were shivering." "I mean any of this. You could have walked past. Everyone else does." Elena retrieved his cane and placed it within reach. "My mama always said you don't walk past people who need help. It's not much, but it's what she taught me." The old man studied her face. His eyes were the clearest blue she'd ever seen, sharp and alert, despite his obvious illness. "What's your name?" "Oh, Elena Matthews." "I'm David Harrison, Colonel David Harrison, retired." He extended a thin hand, though the title doesn't mean much anymore. Elena shook his hand. His grip was surprisingly firm. "You were Air Force Mountie 35 years. Flew cargo planes into places that don't officially exist. Saw things that would keep most people awake for the rest of their lives." He smiled faintly. "Now I'm just another old man waiting for the end." "Don't say that." "Why not? It's true. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. The doctors give me 2 months, but they're being optimistic." Elena felt her chest tighten. She'd watched cancer kill her husband. She knew what it looked like, what it felt like to watch someone you cared about disappear a little more each day. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I've lived a long life. Done things I'm proud of, things I'm not." His blue eyes met hers. "The trick is making sure the good outweighs the bad by the end. I'm still working on that. I'm sure you've done more good than you realize. You don't know anything about me. I know you asked me not to call the nurses because you didn't want to be restrained. That means you've been restrained before. That means you've been fighting." Elena sat in the chair across from him. "Only people with something left to live for keep fighting." The colonel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "You're pregnant." 8 months? "And your husband—" The question hit like a blow. Elena's hands tightened in her lap. "He passed 3 months ago." "I'm sorry." "Everyone's sorry. Sorry doesn't pay the bills. Sorry doesn't feed my daughter. Sorry doesn't bring him back." She hadn't meant to say any of that. The words had just spilled out. "How old is your daughter?" 7. Her name is Lily. She's smart as a whip and brave as they come." "Takes after her mother." "No, she takes after her father. He was the brave one." Elena's voice cracked. "He fought that cancer for 2 years. 2 years of treatments we couldn't afford. 2 years of him pretending he wasn't dying so he wouldn't scare Lily. 2 years of him telling me everything would be okay when we both knew it wouldn't be. How did you manage the treatments, I mean? Credit cards, second mortgages, money from family that we'll never be able to pay back. Elena laughed bitterly. We tried everything, sold everything, and it still wasn't enough. He died in a hospital bed holding my hand, apologizing for leaving me with nothing but debt. Colonel Harrison reached out and took her hand. His fingers were cold thin, but his grip was steady. Listen to me, Elena. I've spent 35 years flying into war zones. I've seen courage in every form imaginable, and I'm telling you right now, what you're doing raising a child alone while pregnant, working multiple jobs, surviving when everything has been taken from you, that's the truest form of courage there is. Tears spilled down Elena's cheeks. Some days I don't feel very brave. That's what makes it courage, being terrified and doing it anyway. The door swung open. A nurse stood there, face annoyed. Mrs. Matthews, what are you doing in here? Patients need their rest. It's Colonel, the old man said sharply, and this woman was helping me after I fell. Perhaps you should check on your patients more often. The nurse flushed red. Colonel Harrison, I apologize. Let me help you back to bed. In a minute, I'm having a conversation. Sir, visiting hours haven't started yet. Then you'd better call security because I'm not moving until I'm ready. His voice carried 35 years of military command. Go check on someone who needs you. The nurse retreated, clearly outraged but unwilling to argue. Colonel Harrison turned back to Elena. They'll be back soon. Before you go, I want you to remember something. What? You have a good heart, Elena Matthews. That's rarer than you know. Don't let this world beat it out of you. I'll try. Promise me. She squeezed his hand. I promise. Good. He released her grip. Now go finish your work before that supervisor of yours gives you more trouble. But come back tonight if you're on shift. I'd like to continue this conversation. I will. Elena picked up her mop and headed for the door. She paused at the threshold. Colonel Harrison. Yes. Thank you for seeing me. He smiled. Thank you for stopping. She visited him every night for 3 weeks. Their conversations became the only bright spot in her exhausting days. He asked about Lily, about the baby, about Michael. She asked about his missions, his squadron, his life before cancer started its march through his body. One night she arrived to find his room empty, the bed stripped, the machines gone. Her heart stopped. She ran to the nurse's station. Colonel Harrison, room 312, where is he? The nurse looked up with sympathy. He was transferred to hospice this morning. Is he still alive? For now, but it won't be long. The nurse handed her a sealed envelope. He asked us to give you this. Elena walked outside in a daze. She sat on a bench in the parking lot, the envelope clutched to her chest. She opened it with trembling fingers. Dear Elena, by the time you read this, I'll be in hospice. Don't be sad for me. I've lived longer than I deserved. Our conversations meant more to me than you can imagine. You gave me something I hadn't felt in years, hope. Not for myself, but for the world. Hope that good people still exist. I've made arrangements. My lawyer will contact you when the time comes. Please accept what I'm leaving you without guilt. You've earned it simply by being who you are. Remember what I said. Keep your good heart. What I'm leaving you is more than property. It's a responsibility, a burden I've carried for 35 years. I trust you to carry it wisely. With gratitude, David Harrison. 3 weeks later, he died. Elena found out from a brief obituary. Colonel David Harrison, Retoniret 78, passed peacefully. No surviving family. No service scheduled. No surviving family. A man who had served his country for 35 years and no one came to say goodbye. Except her. She clipped the obituary and tucked it into her wallet next to Michael's photograph. She would remember Colonel David Harrison. She would keep her promise. 6 weeks later, the manila envelope arrived. Elena almost threw it away with the bills and collection notices. But something made her pause. Her name was handwritten in elegant cursive, the kind of penmanship nobody used anymore. She tore it open. Dear Mrs. Matthews, you are hereby notified that you have been named the sole beneficiary in the last will and testament of Colonel David Harrison. You are to receive the entirety of his estate, including the property, at 15847 Desert Ridge Road, Scottsdale, Arizona, and all contents therein. Please contact our office immediately. Rebecca Sterling Esquilcanic. Elena read it 3 times. Then she sat down hard on the kitchen floor and sobbed. That Saturday, she drove toward Scottsdale with Lily in the back seat. Are we really going to our house, Mama? We're going to look at it, baby. But it's ours. A very kind man left it to me. The man from the hospital, the one you visited. Yes, baby, him. The GPS guided them down a winding road into the hills. The houses grew larger, more expensive, hidden behind gates and long driveways. Mama, rich people live here. Some of them, yes. Are we rich now? Elena gripped the steering wheel. I don't know what we are. They turned onto a gravel driveway flanked by stone pillars. A rusted mailbox showed the numbers 115847. The driveway wound upward for a quarter-mile before the house appeared. Elena stopped the car. It wasn't a house, it was a mansion. Mediterranean architecture with a terracotta roof and arched windows. Multiple wings spreading outward. Grand. Beautiful. Abandoned. That's ours, Lily whispered. Elena couldn't answer. Her mind refused to process what she was seeing. They walked through the front door into a 2-story entry hall. Furniture sat covered in white sheets. Dust floated in shafts of light. It's spooky, Mama. It's just empty. But something about the silence felt wrong. Heavy, like the house was holding its breath. They explored room by room. Living room, dining room, kitchen. 6 bedrooms upstairs, each bigger than their entire apartment. In the Colonel's study, Elena found his desk. She pulled open drawers until she found what she was looking for. A leather journal tied with a ribbon. She opened it to the final entry. I've made arrangements. What I've kept hidden all these years, I can't take with me, so I'm leaving it to someone with a good heart, someone who'll know what to do. Mama, Lily called from the kitchen. There's a weird door. Elena found her daughter standing before what looked like a pantry door. There's a humming sound, Lily said, like machines. Elena tried the handle, locked. She tried 3 unmarked keys from her ring. The third one clicked. The door opened to reveal stairs, leading down into darkness. Stay here, Lily. But Mama. Stay here. Elena descended alone. Motion-activated lights flickered on, revealing a concrete basement. At the far end stood a massive steel door, military-grade, bank vault security. On a workbench, she found a keycard and a note. Elena, the code is the night we met. What's inside will frighten you, but I trust you. DH. She swiped the card, punched in the date they met, November 8th, 2023. The vault door swung open. Cold air rushed out. Elena stepped inside and forgot how to breathe. Money, stacks and stacks of cash. Bundled bills covering shelves from floor to ceiling. Hundreds, 50s, 20s. More money than she'd ever seen. More than she'd ever imagined could exist. On a clipboard, total count $847,000. $260 million. Elena's legs buckled. She grabbed the doorframe as her vision went gray. Then she saw something that turned her blood to ice. Fresh footprints in the dust, leading to a desk in the corner and back. Someone had been here. Someone else knew. She stumbled to the desk, found an envelope with her name. But beneath it was another note in aggressive handwriting. I know what you're hiding, Uncle David, and I know who you left it to. This isn't over. VH. Victoria Harrison. Someone was already hunting her. Elena grabbed the Colonel's letter and read frantically. He'd been flying classified missions in 1988, found 24 cases of cash at an abandoned airstrip, $260 million from illegal arms deals. Corrupt officials, blood money, he couldn't expose it, couldn't return it, so he'd hidden it for 35 years. Now it's yours, Elena. Use it to help people. Transform dirty money into clean hope. But be careful. This is dangerous. The wrong people find out and your life is in danger. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know you're at the house. I know what you found. We need to talk about what belongs to my family. You have 48 hours to contact me, or I go to the police and tell them you're hiding stolen money. Victoria Harrison. Elena stared at the screen, her hands shaking. She'd inherited a fortune. She'd also inherited a target on her back. Mama, Lily's voice floated down the stairs. Mama, are you okay? No, she wasn't okay. She would never be okay again. Elena closed the vault, watched the locks engage, and climbed the stairs on trembling legs. At the top, Lily waited with frightened eyes. Mama, you look scared. What was down there? Elena pulled her daughter close. Breathing in the smell of her hair, feeling her small heart beating against her own. She had 48 hours before Victoria Harrison made her move. She had $260 million that powerful people wanted. She had 2 children who depended on her for everything. and she had absolutely no idea what to do next. Her phone buzzed again. Another message from Victoria. "I'm not bluffing, cleaning woman. Give me what's mine or I will destroy you, starting with that pretty little daughter of yours." Elena's blood went cold. Victoria Harrison had just threatened her child, and something inside Elena Matthews shifted. Something hard. Something dangerous. Something that had been dormant since Michael died. She looked down at Lily, then at her pregnant belly, then at the phone in her hand. "Mama," Lily whispered. "What's wrong?" Elena deleted the message and slipped the phone into her pocket. "Nothing, baby. Mama just has some thinking to do." She'd spent her whole life being walked over, being ignored, being treated like she was invisible. Not anymore. She had $260 million, and someone had just threatened her children. Victoria Harrison had no idea what kind of enemy she'd just made. I'll craft a narrative that captures the gritty, determined spirit of American storytelling, where the protagonist fights against overwhelming odds, revealing inner strength through vulnerability and decisive action. The story will pulse with emotional intensity, showing Elena's transformation from victim to fighter, using crisp dialogue and psychological depth to drive the narrative forward. The 48-hour countdown creates inherent tension with each mini-climax strategically designed to escalate stakes and reveal character motivations. Victoria's unexpected appearances and strategic manipulations will create unpredictable narrative momentum, keeping readers constantly off balance. Key narrative threads will interweave personal risk, professional threat, and systemic power dynamics. The mini-climaxes aren't just plot points, but psychological turning points, revealing Elena's evolving strategy and emotional resilience. The major twists: Victoria's internal connection, federal investigation, and mysterious contact from the Colonel's past will provide unexpected narrative layers, transforming what initially seems like a personal conflict into a complex systemic challenge. Elena didn't sleep that night. She sat at her kitchen table long after Lily had gone to bed, staring at the Colonel's letter, reading it over and over until the words blurred together. $260 million. Blood money from corrupt officials, a secret kept for 35 years. And now Victoria Harrison, circling like a vulture, ready to tear apart everything Elena had just inherited. 47 hours remaining on Victoria's deadline. Elena picked up her phone and stared at the threatening message again. "Give me what's mine or I will destroy you, starting with that pretty little daughter of yours." Her daughter. This woman had threatened her 7-year-old daughter. Elena's hands shook, but not from fear. From something darker. Something that had been building since Michael died, since she'd been forced to watch her husband waste away while bill collectors called and landlords threatened and the world kept spinning like her family's destruction didn't matter. She was done being afraid. Done being walked over. Done being invisible. She opened her contacts and found the number for Sterling and Associates, the law firm that had sent her the inheritance letter. Rebecca Sterling had included her personal cell phone number with a note, "Call any time if you have questions." It was 11:47 p.m. Elena called anyway. The phone rang 4 times before a groggy voice answered. "This is Rebecca Sterling?" "Ms. Sterling, this is Elena Matthews. You handled Colonel Harrison's estate." A pause, the sound of movement. "Mrs. Matthews? Is everything all right?" "No, everything is not all right. Someone named Victoria Harrison is threatening me. She's threatening my daughter. She says she knows about what the Colonel left me, and she wants it." Silence on the other end. Then Rebecca's voice came back, carved sharper now, fully awake. "Victoria Harrison contacted you directly. She sent me text messages. She gave me 48 hours to give her what she wants, or she goes to the police. Do not respond to her. Do you understand? Don't reply to any message. Don't answer if she calls. Don't engage with her in any way. She threatened my child. I understand, but Victoria Harrison is dangerous, and anything you say to her can be used against you." Rebecca paused. "Mrs. Matthews, can you come to my office first thing tomorrow morning? There are things you need to know about Victoria Harrison. Things the Colonel specifically warned me about." Elena's blood went cold. He knew she would come after me. He knew she would try. That's why he chose you. He believed you were strong enough to handle this. "I'm a cleaning lady with $47 to my name. I don't know how to handle a woman who threatens children." "Then let me help you. 9 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late. And Mrs. Matthews." "Yes? Don't go back to that house alone. Not until we've talked." The line went dead. Elena sat in the darkness, her hand pressed against her belly, where the baby kicked restlessly. 46 hours now. 46 hours until Victoria made her move. She didn't know if she was strong enough for this fight, but for Lily, for the baby, she would find a way to become strong enough. 7 hours later, Elena dropped Lily at school with instructions to stay close to her teacher and not talk to any strangers. Lily had looked at her mother with those two old eyes and said, "Something's wrong, isn't it, Mama?" "Everything's fine, baby." "You're lying. Your eye does that twitchy thing when you lie." Elena had knelt down to her daughter's level, taken her small hands. "Some grown-up problems came up, but I'm handling them. All you need to do is be brave and stay safe. Can you do that for me?" Lily nodded solemnly. "I can be brave. Daddy taught me." "Good girl. I love you." "I love you too, Mama. Be careful." Those words haunted Elena as she drove to Rebecca Sterling's office in downtown Phoenix. Be careful. Her 7-year-old was warning her to be careful because even a child could sense the danger circling their family. Rebecca's office was on the 14th floor of a glass tower that Elena had probably cleaned at some point in her endless rotation of night jobs. The irony wasn't lost on her as she rode the elevator up wearing her nicest maternity dress, which was really just her least worn maternity dress, trying to look like someone who belonged in a place like this. The receptionist showed her to a conference room where Rebecca Sterling waited with coffee in a thick folder. "Sit down, Mrs. Matthews. We have a lot to discuss." Elena sat. "Tell me about Victoria Harrison." Rebecca opened the folder. Victoria Harrison is Colonel Harrison's niece, his brother's daughter. She's 53 years old, divorced twice, and has spent the last 2 decades burning through family money and other people's patience. Why does she think she deserves the Colonel's estate? Because she's blood family, because she believes inheritance should follow bloodlines, not random acts of kindness. Rebecca's voice hardened. And because she's been trying to get her hands on her uncle's assets for 20 years. 20 years. Victoria showed up at the Colonel's house in 2004 demanding money. She was in debt from her first divorce and her lifestyle had outpaced her income. He gave her $50,000 and told her never to come back. But she did come back. 3 more times. 2009, 2015, 2021, each time demanding more. Each time threatening to expose family secrets if he didn't pay. The Colonel finally cut her off completely in 2021 and changed all his security codes. Rebecca paused. He also wrote a detailed document explaining exactly why she was excluded from his will. That document is legally binding and will hold up in any court challenge she attempts. Elena felt a small measure of relief. So she can't take the house from me. The house, no. She has no legal claim to it. Rebecca leaned forward. But Mrs. Matthews Victoria Harrison doesn't care about legal claims. She cares about getting what she wants by any means necessary, and what she wants right now is whatever was in that vault. Elena's heart stopped. You know about the vault. The Colonel told me there was something in that house that Victoria would kill for. He didn't tell me what. He said it was safer for me not to know. Rebecca's eyes met Elena's. But I'm guessing you know exactly what's down there. Elena had a choice to make. Trust this woman she had just met or try to handle $260 million and a predatory relative on her own. She thought about Lily, about the baby, about Victoria's threat. $260 million, Elena said quietly. Cash, hidden in a vault beneath the house. Rebecca closed her eyes and sat back in her chair. Dear God. The Colonel said it came from illegal arms deals in the 1980s. Corrupt officials, blood money that he hid instead of stealing for himself. And now Victoria knows it exists. She left a note in the vault. She'd already been there, before I arrived. Elena pulled out her phone and showed Rebecca the threatening texts. She's given me 46 hours to hand it over. Rebecca read the messages twice. Her face went pale. She threatened your daughter. Yes. That's criminal. We could go to the police. And tell them that I inherited $250 million in hidden cash and someone wants to take it. Elena shook her head. The police would seize everything. The Colonel said that would happen. He said the money would disappear into government accounts and never do any good. So what do you want to do? Elena sat up straighter. I want to protect my children. I want to honor what the Colonel asked me to do. And I want Victoria Harrison to understand that threatening my family was the biggest mistake of her life. Rebecca studied her for a long moment. Then she smiled. The Colonel was right about you. Right about what? He said you'd fight. He said underneath the exhaustion and the grief, there was steel in your spine. Rebecca pulled out a legal pad. All right, Mrs. Matthews. Let's figure out how to protect you, your children, and $260 million from a woman who's willing to destroy everything to get what she wants." They worked for 3 hours. Rebecca explained the legal frameworks that could protect Elena: asset trusts, charitable foundations, documentation strategies that would legitimize the money over time and make it impossible to seize without a lengthy court battle. "The key is moving carefully," Rebecca said. "We transfer money gradually into legitimate accounts. We establish a charitable foundation. We create a paper trail that shows everything is above board." "How long will that take?" "Months, maybe years for the full amount." "I don't have years. I have 43 hours. Victoria's deadline is meaningless. She can't go to the police without exposing herself to criminal charges for extortion and making threats against a minor. Rebecca tapped her pen against the legal pad. "What she can do is make your life miserable, challenge the will in court, drag you through legal proceedings that drain your resources and your energy." "I don't have resources. I don't have energy. I have a 7-year-old, a baby on the way, and $47 in my bank account." Rebecca reached into her desk and pulled out a checkbook. The Colonel established an emergency fund for exactly this situation, $50,000 to cover immediate legal fees and living expenses. Elena stared at the check Rebecca placed in front of her. More money than she'd earned in the past 2 years combined. "I can't accept that." "You can and you will." The Colonel was very clear. He said you'd be too proud to take help easily. He also said that was part of what made you worthy of what he left you. Elena's eyes burned with tears she refused to shed. "I don't know if I'm worthy of any of this." "You stopped to help a dying old man when no one else would. That makes you worthy of more than you know." At 2:17 p.m. Elena's phone rang. Unknown number. She looked at Rebecca, who nodded. "Answer it. Put it on speaker." Elena pressed accept. "Hello?" "Mrs. Matthews." Victoria Harrison's voice was honey and venom mixed together. "I'm so glad you answered. I was worried you might ignore me." "What do you want?" "I think we both know what I want. The question is whether you're smart enough to give it to me without making this uglier than it needs to be." "You threatened my daughter." "I made an observation about how vulnerable children are. That's not a threat. That's a fact of life." Victoria's voice hardened. "Here's another fact. My uncle hid something in that house, something that belongs to my family, and you're going to give it back to me. The Colonel left everything to me, legally, properly documented. The Colonel was a senile old man being manipulated by a young woman who saw an opportunity. Any judge in the country will see through your little scam." Rebecca leaned toward the phone. "Miss Harrison, this is Rebecca Sterling, attorney for the estate. I should inform you that this call is being recorded, and your previous text messages constitute criminal extortion and threats against a minor. If you contact my client again, we will pursue charges." Silence on the line. Then Victoria laughed. "Rebecca Sterling, I should have known David would hire someone like you, all polish and procedure, no real understanding of how the world works." "The world works through laws, Ms. Harrison, laws that you're currently breaking. Laws are for people who can't afford to ignore them." Victoria's voice dropped lower. "Mrs. Matthews, you seem like a practical woman. You're struggling, barely surviving, working yourself to death for minimum wage while pregnant. Is that really how you want to spend the next 18 years fighting legal battles you can't win, looking over your shoulder every day, wondering if today is the day something happens to that precious little girl of yours?" Elena's grip on the phone tightened until her knuckles went white. "If you touch my daughter, I will destroy you." Strong words from a cleaning lady, but let's be realistic. I have money. I have connections. I have lawyers who specialize in making people's lives impossible. You have nothing but an inheritance you don't understand and a dying man's misplaced faith in your character. I have the truth. The truth. Victoria laughed again. The truth is that my uncle hid hundreds of millions of dollars in illegal cash and left it to a stranger. How do you think that story ends when it hits the newspapers, when federal investigators start asking questions, when your face is on every news channel in the country? Elena felt the blood drain from her face. Federal investigators. She hadn't thought about that. Here's my offer, Victoria continued. You sign over the house to me. You walk away with whatever's in the checking accounts, probably a few $100,000, plenty to change your life. And you never speak of what's in that vault to anyone ever. In return, I make all the legal challenges disappear. I leave your family alone. You go back to your life a little richer and a lot wiser. And if I refuse, then I burn everything down. I tie you up in court for a decade. I leak the story to every media outlet that will listen. I make sure federal agents show up at your door with warrants and questions you can't answer." Victoria paused. "And I make sure that sweet little Lily understands that her mother chose greed over her safety." The line went dead. Elena sat frozen. The phone still pressed to her ear. Rebecca gently took it from her hand. "She's bluffing." "Is she?" Rebecca hesitated. "About some things, yes. About others?" She shook her head. "Victoria Harrison doesn't bluff about making people's lives miserable. She has the resources and the vindictiveness to do exactly what she threatened." "Then what do I do?" "You don't panic. You don't give up. And you don't let her see that she's gotten to you." Rebecca stood. "I need to make some calls. There are people who knew the Colonel people from his squadron who might be able to help us understand what we're dealing with." "Squadron?" "The Colonel flew with a crew for decades. Some of them are still alive. Some of them might know about the money's origins." She paused. "And some of them might know things about Victoria that we can use to fight back." At 4:45 p.m., Elena picked up Lily from school. Her daughter ran to her with a drawing clutched in both hands. "Mama, I made this for you." Elena knelt down and took the paper. It showed 3 figures, a tall one, a small one, and a round-bellied one in between. Above them, written in crooked 7-year-old handwriting, "My family." "It's beautiful, baby." "The round one is you because of the baby." Lily pointed at the picture. "And look, I drew a house, too. A big house like the one we visited. Are we really going to live there?" Elena looked at her daughter's hopeful face and felt her heart break. "I don't know yet, baby. There are some problems I need to solve first." "What kind of problems?" "Grown-up problems. Nothing you need to worry about." Lily's expression shifted. Even at 7, she could read her mother's fear. "Is someone trying to take our house away?" "What makes you say that?" "Because that's what always happens. When things get good, someone takes them away." Lily's voice was matter-of-fact. "The hospital took Daddy. The landlord wants to take our apartment. Now someone wants to take the big house." Elena pulled her daughter into her arms, holding her tight. "I'm not going to let anyone take anything from us. Not ever again." "Promise?" "Promise." But even as she said the words, Elena wondered if it was a promise she could keep. At 7:23 p.m., Elena's phone rang again. Different number this time. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Mrs. Matthews." An older man's voice, rough with age but steady. "My name is Thomas Walker. I flew with Colonel David Harrison for 23 years. Rebecca Sterling gave me your number." Elena straightened. "Mr. Walker, thank you for calling." "Rebecca said you're in trouble, said it has something to do with what David was protecting all those years." "You know about it." "I know about it. I was there the night we found it." A pause. "What I want to know is, are you going to do right by what David entrusted to you, or are you going to let vultures like Victoria Harrison pick his bones clean?" "I'm going to fight, but I don't know how." "Then we need to talk, in person. Tomorrow morning, can you meet me?" "Where?" He gave her an address. "A diner outside Phoenix." "Mr. Walker, why are you willing to help me? You don't even know me." "Because David trusted you, and in 35 years of flying into hell together, David Harrison never once misjudged a person's character." Another pause. "Besides, I made him a promise before he died. I told him I'd watch over whoever he chose, make sure they didn't face the storm alone." "Storm? What's coming, Mrs. Matthews? What Victoria Harrison and her kind are about to bring down on your head, that's a storm, and you're going to need allies to survive it." The call ended. Elena sat in her dark apartment, Lily asleep in the next room, the baby shifting restlessly inside her. 29 hours until Victoria's deadline. But for the first time since opening that vault, Elena didn't feel completely alone. The next morning at 6:15 a.m., Elena left Lily with Mrs. Chen and drove to the address Thomas Walker had given her. A small diner on the outskirts of Phoenix, the kind of place truckers stopped at during long hauls. She found him in a back booth. Mid-70s, weathered face eyes that had seen too much. He stood when she approached and extended a calloused hand. "Mrs. Matthews? Thank you for coming." "Thank you for being willing to meet." They sat. Coffee appeared without either of them ordering. The waitress clearly knew Thomas well. "Rebecca told me Victoria contacted you," Thomas said. "Told me she's making threats." "She gave me 48 hours to hand over the estate. That deadline hits in about 24 hours now." "Victoria's deadline doesn't mean anything. That woman has been making threats for decades. What matters is what you're going to do about the money." Elena looked at him carefully. "You know exactly what's in that vault?" "I helped load it onto the plane 35 years ago, watched David protect it ever since." Thomas's jaw tightened. "That money has blood on it, Mrs. Matthews. Not David's blood. The blood of men who were killed so corrupt officials could get rich off illegal weapons deals." The colonel wrote about that in his letter. David spent his whole life trying to figure out how to make that money clean, how to use it for good instead of letting it disappear into the pockets of more corrupt people. Thomas leaned forward. "He chose you because he believed you would finish what he started." "I don't know how. I'm a cleaning lady. I don't know anything about money laundering or federal investigations or legal strategies." "You don't need to know those things. You just need to know what's right." Thomas pulled out a worn photograph and slid it across the table. "That's our squadron. 1987. 8 men who flew missions that never officially happened, carried cargo that never officially existed." Elena looked at the young faces, found the colonel easily, found Thomas standing beside him. "3 of us are still alive," Thomas continued. "Me, Daniel Chen in Colorado, Marcus Rivera in Florida. We all know about the money. We all made a promise to David that we'd help whoever he chose. Why? Because we were there, because we know the truth. And because Victoria Harrison has been circling that fortune for 20 years, and we're not about to let her win now that David's gone." Elena felt something loosen in her chest. She wasn't alone. There were people who knew, people who wanted to help. "What do I need to do?" "First, you need to understand what you're really fighting. Victoria doesn't just want the money. She wants revenge. David humiliated her for years, refusing to give her what she demanded, treating her like the parasite she is. This isn't about inheritance. It's about power. And second, you need to be prepared for things to get worse before they get better. Victoria has connections. She's probably already reached out to them. People who would love to know about that vault. People who would do anything to get their hands on that much money. What kind of people?" Thomas's expression darkened. "The kind who make Victoria Harrison look like a Sunday school teacher." Elena's phone buzzed. "A text from Rebecca Sterling. Federal agent called my office asking about the Harrison estate. Something is happening. Call me immediately." Her blood turned to ice. "What is it?" Thomas asked. Elena showed him the message. Thomas cursed under his breath. "Victoria moved faster than I expected. She must have contacts in federal agencies." "What does that mean?" "It means your timeline just got a lot shorter." Thomas stood, throwing money on the table for coffee. "We need to get ahead of this, now, before Victoria's friends in Washington decide to come knocking." 12 hours later, Elena sat in Rebecca's office with Thomas Walker Daniel Chen on video call from Colorado and Marcus Rivera on speakerphone from Florida. The colonel's squadron, minus the men who died over the years, gathered to protect a woman none of them had met before David Harrison chose her. "The federal inquiry is preliminary," Rebecca reported. "An agent named Marcus Cole from the Defense Criminal Investigative Service called asking routine questions about the estate, but routine questions can become serious investigations very quickly." "Victoria tipped them off," Daniel Chen said through the video screen. "She's trying to force Elena's hand, make her panic and do something stupid. Or make the feds seize everything before Elena can establish legal protections. Thomas added. "What are our options?" Elena asked. Marcus Rivera's voice crackled through the speakerphone. "We get out ahead of it. We contact the feds ourselves, explain the situation, show them the documentation David left behind." "That's risky," Rebecca said. "We'd be admitting to the existence of the money before we've established any legal protections." "It's riskier to let Victoria control the narrative," Thomas countered. "If she gets to the feds first with her version of events, Elena looks guilty before she's said a word." Elena listened to them argue, her mind racing. 21 hours until Victoria's deadline. Federal agents sniffing around. A fortune in blood money sitting in a vault. Her daughter's safety hanging in the balance. "What would the colonel want me to do?" Everyone stopped talking. They looked at her. "If Colonel Harrison were sitting here right now, what would he tell me to do?" Thomas was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "David would tell you to trust your gut. He always said the best decisions came from the heart, not the head." Elena closed her eyes. Thought about Lily. About the baby. About all the families out there struggling the way she'd struggled. "We get ahead of it," she said finally. "We contact the feds ourselves. We tell them the truth about where the money came from and what the colonel wanted to do with it." And if they seize everything? Rebecca asked. Then I lose a fortune I never expected to have. But at least I'll have tried to do the right thing. At least I'll be able to look my daughter in the eye and tell her that her mother didn't run when things got hard. Thomas smiled. David was right about you. I hope so, because right now I don't feel very brave. Brave isn't about feeling fearless, Mrs. Matthews. It's about being terrified and doing what needs to be done anyway. At 9:47 p.m., Elena's phone buzzed with another text from Victoria Harrison. 14 hours left. Have you made your decision, or should I start making calls? Elena stared at the message. Then she typed a response. Make all the calls you want. I'm not giving you anything. 3 dots appeared. Then Victoria's reply. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. I hope your daughter enjoys having a mother in prison. Elena deleted the message and looked at the photo of Lily on her phone's home screen. I'm not afraid of you, she whispered to the darkness. It wasn't entirely true. She was terrified. But she was done running from people who thought they could take whatever they wanted. Tomorrow she would face Victoria Harrison. Tomorrow she would face federal agents. Tomorrow she would fight for everything the colonel had entrusted to her. Tonight she would sleep, because her children needed a mother who was strong enough to protect them. And Elena Matthews was going to be that mother no matter what it cost. The next morning came too fast. Elena woke at 5:47 a.m. to the sound of her phone buzzing. A text from Rebecca Sterling. Federal agents will be at my office at 10 a.m. They want to talk to you. Be ready. Elena's stomach lurched. She told herself she wasn't afraid. She told herself she was ready to fight. But lying in her bed in the gray morning light with her daughter sleeping in the next room and her baby shifting restlessly inside her, the fear came flooding back. She had 6 hours to prepare for the most important conversation of her life. By 7:30 a.m., Elena had dropped Lily at school with a longer hug than usual. Her daughter had looked up at her with those knowing eyes. Mama, you're scared again. I have some important meetings today, baby, that's all. Are the bad people coming? Elena's heart clenched. What bad people? The ones who want to take our house. I heard you on the phone last night. Lily's voice dropped to a whisper. I couldn't sleep. I heard you talking about federal agents and investigations. Elena knelt down to her daughter's level. Lily, listen to me. Some people are asking questions about the house that nice man left us. But I'm going to answer their questions honestly, and everything is going to be okay. What if it's not? What if they take you away like they took Daddy? The words hit Elena like a physical blow. Her daughter had watched cancer take her father. Now she was terrified of losing her mother to something she didn't understand. No one is taking me anywhere, Elena said firmly. I promise you, when you get home from school today, I will be there waiting for you, no matter what. Promise. I promise. But as she watched Lily walk into the school building, Elena wondered if it was a promise she could keep. At 9:15 a.m., Elena arrived at Rebecca Sterling's office. Thomas Walker was already there, along with 2 other men she'd never met in person, but recognized from the video call the night before. Daniel Chen, tall and silver-haired, with sharp, intelligent eyes. Marcus Rivera, stocky and weathered with the build of a man who'd spent decades doing hard physical work. Mrs. Matthews? Daniel extended his hand. It's an honor to finally meet the woman David trusted with everything. I don't feel very trustworthy right now. I feel terrified. Good, Marcus said bluntly. Terrified means you understand what's at stake. Confident would mean you're a fool. Rebecca emerged from her inner office. The agents will be here in 45 minutes. Let's go over the strategy one more time. They gathered around the conference table. Rebecca had prepared a folder of documents carefully organized to tell the story they wanted the federal agents to hear. We're going to be completely transparent, Rebecca said. We'll show them the colonel's documentation of where the money came from. We'll explain his reasons for hiding it. And we'll present Elena's plan to transfer the funds into a charitable foundation. What if they don't believe us? Elena asked. Then we have backup. Thomas pulled out a USB drive. This contains recordings David made over the years, video testimonials from squadron members, documentation of the original arms deals, names of the corrupt officials involved, most of whom are dead or imprisoned now. David spent 35 years preparing for this moment, Daniel added. He knew someday the truth would have to come out. He wanted to control how it happened. And Victoria? Elena's voice hardened. What about her? Victoria is a complication, not a threat, Rebecca said. Her challenge to the will has no legal merit. Her harassment constitutes criminal extortion. The more she pushes, the worse she makes herself look. She threatened my daughter. And we have that in writing. If she escalates, we go to the police. Rebecca paused. But first, let's deal with the federal agents, one crisis at a time. At 9:58 a.m., Elena's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I'm watching you walk into that law office. I know the feds are coming. You think they'll believe your little story. They'll see right through you, cleaning lady. Enjoy your last few hours of freedom." Victoria. She was outside, watching. Elena showed the message to Rebecca. "She's here." Thomas moved to the window and looked down at the street. Silver Mercedes parked across from the building entrance. "That's her." "Shh. She's trying to intimidate you," Rebecca said. "Don't let her." "I'm not intimidated. I'm angry." Elena stood up, her fists clenched. "She's been bullying me for 3 days, threatening my child, stalking me. I'm done being her victim." "Elena, don't do anything rash." "I'm not going to do anything rash. I'm going to do something necessary." Elena grabbed her phone and typed a response to Victoria's message. "You want to watch this. In 1 hour, I'm telling federal agents everything. Every threat you made. Every lie you told. Every crime you committed trying to steal what doesn't belong to you. Your name will be in their file by lunch. Sleep well tonight." She hit send. The response came almost immediately. "You stupid little woman. You have no idea who you're dealing with. I will destroy you." Elena smiled grimly and typed back, "Try." Then she blocked Victoria's number and turned to face the room. "The federal agents will be here in 15 minutes. Let's be ready for them." At 10:07 a.m., Agent Marcus Cole arrived with 2 other investigators. He was mid-40s, military bearing with eyes that missed nothing. He shook Elena's hand with a grip that felt like an assessment. "Mrs. Matthews, thank you for agreeing to speak with us voluntarily." "I have nothing to hide, Agent Cole. I want to cooperate fully." They settled around the conference table. Agent Cole placed a recording device in the center. "Do you consent to this interview being recorded?" "Yes." "Good. Let's start at the beginning. How did you come to inherit Colonel Harrison's estate?" Elena told the story from the beginning. The night she found him fallen in his hospital room. The conversations they'd shared over 3 weeks. The letters she'd received after his death. The mansion. The vault. The money. She held nothing back. Agent Cole's expression remained neutral throughout, but Elena noticed his jaw tighten when she described the amount. $260 million had that effect on people, and you claim this money originated from illegal arms deals in 1988. "I don't claim it. Colonel Harrison documented it. Thomas Walker was there when they found it." Agent Cole turned to Thomas. "Mr. Walker, can you corroborate this?" Thomas leaned forward. "November 3rd, 1988. Airstrip outside Managua, Nicaragua. We were ordered to pick up cargo from a contact who turned out to be dead when we arrived. 24 military cases filled with cash. No manifest, no instructions, no chain of command responding to our radio calls." "And you just took it?" "We secured it. There's a difference. We could have split that money 8 ways and disappeared. Some of the crew wanted to do exactly that." Thomas's voice hardened. "David Harrison refused. He said the money was already soaked in blood and taking it for ourselves would only add more. He spent the rest of his life trying to figure out how to make it do good instead of evil." "That's a convenient story." "It's the truth, and I can prove it." Thomas slid the USB drive across the table. Video testimonials, scanned documents from the original operation, names of the officials who were running the arms deals. David documented everything because he knew someday someone would need to understand. Agent Cole took the drive but didn't look at it. His eyes stayed fixed on Elena. "Mrs. Matthews, you expect me to believe that a dying man gave $250 million to a cleaning lady he'd known for 3 weeks?" "I expect you to investigate and find out the truth," Elena replied steadily. "I'm not asking you to take my word for it. I'm asking you to look at the evidence." "And what do you plan to do with this money?" "Establish a charitable foundation. Use it to help families who are struggling the way I've struggled. The way thousands of single mothers across this country struggle every day." Elena's voice grew stronger. "Colonel Harrison wanted this money to do good. He trusted me to make that happen, and I'm going to honor his trust, whether you believe me or not." Agent Cole studied her for a long moment. Then he turned to one of his colleagues. "Pull everything we have on the 1988 Nicaragua operations. Cross-reference with the names on that drive." He looked back at Elena. "This investigation is ongoing. You are not to leave the state of Arizona without notifying our office. You are not to move any funds from the accounts associated with this estate without prior approval. Is that understood?" "Yes." "One more thing." Agent Cole's voice dropped. "We received a tip about this situation. Anonymous call 2 days ago claiming that you had defrauded an elderly veteran out of his life savings. Victoria. Elena's blood boiled. That tip came from Victoria Harrison, Rebecca interjected. Colonel Harrison's niece. She's been harassing my client for days, making threats against her and her minor child. We have documentation. We'll look into it. Agent Cole stood. Mrs. Matthews, thank you for your cooperation. We'll be in touch. After the agents left, Elena collapsed into a chair. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was pounding. But she'd done it. She'd told the truth, and she was still standing. That went better than I expected, Rebecca said. He didn't believe me. He doesn't have to believe you yet. He just has to investigate, and when he investigates, he'll find exactly what you told him. Rebecca paused. The question now is what Victoria does next. At 12:34 p.m., Elena got her answer. Her phone rang, a number she didn't recognize but answered anyway. Mrs. Matthews. A man's voice, young, nervous. I'm a reporter with the Arizona Republic. I'm calling about a story we're developing regarding your inheritance of the Harrison estate. Elena's stomach dropped. Who gave you my number? We received an anonymous tip this morning, documents suggesting that Colonel David Harrison was mentally incapacitated when he changed his will to name you as sole beneficiary. Do you have any comment? Victoria. She'd gone to the press. I have no comment at this time. Please contact my attorney, Rebecca Sterling. She hung up and immediately called Rebecca. Victoria leaked to the press. A reporter just called asking about documents suggesting the colonel was mentally incapacitated. Damn, Rebecca's voice was tight. She's trying to win in the court of public opinion since she can't win in actual court. We need to get ahead of this. How? We release our own statement. Get the truth out before her lies take root. At 2:15 p.m., Elena stood outside the law office while Rebecca read a prepared statement to a gathering of reporters that had appeared seemingly out of nowhere. My client Elena Matthews inherited the estate of Colonel David Harrison through legitimate legal channels. The colonel was of sound mind when he made his final wishes known as documented by multiple physicians and witnessed by licensed attorneys. Any claims to the contrary are defamatory and will be met with legal action. The reporters shouted questions. Elena's face was on camera. Her name was in notebooks. Her anonymity was gone. Mrs. Matthews, how did you meet Colonel Harrison? Is it true you were his cleaning lady? How much is the estate worth? Can you confirm reports of hidden cash? Hidden cash. Someone had leaked about the vault. Elena felt the ground shift beneath her feet. This was spiraling out of control, fast. Rebecca took her arm and guided her back inside the building. We need to move up our timeline. If the money story gets out before we've established legal protections, everything falls apart. At 3:47 p.m., Elena sat in Rebecca's office making phone calls. Thomas Daniel and Marcus worked alongside her, reaching out to contacts they'd cultivated over decades. Lawyers, politicians, journalists who owed them favors. They were building a firewall against Victoria's attack. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen. Lily's school just called. They're locked down. Some kind of incident. You should come. Elena's blood turned to ice. She was out of her chair and running for the elevator before anyone could stop her. Elena, wait, Thomas called after her. My daughter's school is locked down. Something happened. Thomas grabbed his keys. I'm driving you. They made the 15-minute drive to Lily's elementary school in 8 minutes. Police cars were parked outside. Parents were gathered in clusters, faces tight with fear. Elena pushed through the crowd, her pregnant belly straining, her heart hammering. My daughter, Lily Matthews. She's in 2nd grade. What happened? A police officer stopped her. Ma'am, we're asking all parents to wait in the designated area until we complete our sweep. Sweep for what? What happened? We received a call about a potential threat to a specific student. We're taking precautions. A specific student. Elena's world tilted. What student? What was the threat? The officer hesitated. Ma'am, I can't disclose details of an ongoing investigation. That's my daughter in there. If someone threatened my child, I have a right to know. Elena, Thomas's hand gripped her shoulder. Let them do their job. Lily is safe inside the building. You don't know that. You don't know what Victoria might have done. The officer's expression sharpened. Ma'am, do you have information about who might have made this threat? Elena's mind raced. If she accused Victoria without proof, she'd look paranoid. But if Victoria had called in a fake threat to terrorize Lily... Victoria Harrison, Elena said. She's been harassing me for days, threatening me and my daughter. She knows where Lily goes to school." The officer wrote down the name. "We'll look into it. For now, please wait in the designated area." The next 47 minutes were the longest of Elena's life. She stood with the other parents watching police move in and out of the school building, imagining the worst. Lily frightened. Lily crying. Lily wondering why her mother wasn't there to protect her. At 4:58 p.m., the school doors opened and children began streaming out, guided by teachers and police officers. Elena spotted Lily immediately, small and pale, clutching her backpack eyes, scanning the crowd. Lily. Her daughter's face crumpled when she saw Elena. She ran across the parking lot and threw herself into her mother's arms. Mama, I was so scared." "I know, baby, I know. I'm here now. The police came. They made us hide under our desks. My teacher was crying." Lily's small body shook with sobs. "They said someone called and said bad things about a student. They said they were looking for someone named Lily." Elena's vision went red. Victoria had called the school, used her daughter's name in a threat, made a 7-year-old hide under her desk in terror. This wasn't harassment anymore. This was war. At 6:23 p.m., Elena sat across from Detective Patricia Morales at the Phoenix Police Department. Thomas Walker was beside her. Rebecca Sterling was on speakerphone. "Let me make sure I understand," Detective Morales said. "You believe Victoria Harrison called in a false threat to your daughter's school as a form of intimidation?" "I know she did. She's been threatening me and Lily for days. I have the text messages. She knew where Lily went to school. She knew my daughter's name." "The call was made from a blocked number. We're working to trace it, but that takes time." "How much time?" She's escalating. First threats by text, then stalking me outside my lawyer's office. Now terrorizing my child at school. What's next? What does she have to do before you take this seriously? Detective Morales' expression softened. "Mrs. Matthews, I am taking this seriously, but I can't arrest someone without evidence." "Then get the evidence, trace the call, check her phone records, do something." "We're doing everything we can. In the meantime, I'd recommend keeping your daughter home from school for a few days. Vary your routine. Don't go anywhere alone." "You're telling me to hide from a woman who should be in jail." "I'm telling you to be safe while we build a case." Elena wanted to scream, wanted to throw something, wanted to do anything except sit here feeling helpless while Victoria Harrison terrorized her family. Thomas put a hand on her shoulder. "Elena, we should go." "This isn't right. She can't get away with this." "She won't, but right now you need to go home to your daughter." At 8:15 p.m., Elena sat on Lily's bed watching her daughter sleep. The nightlight cast soft shadows across Lily's face, peaceful now. The terror of the afternoon temporarily forgotten. But Elena wouldn't forget. She'd never forget the sound of Lily's sobs, the way her small body had trembled, the fear in her eyes when she asked if the bad people were coming for her. Victoria Harrison had done this, and Elena was going to make her pay. Her phone buzzed, a text from a new number. "Did you enjoy today's preview? That was just a taste of what I can do. Give me what I want, or next time it won't be a phone call. It will be something your precious daughter won't walk away from." Elena stared at the message. Her hands didn't shake. Her heart didn't race. Something cold had settled over her, replacing the fear with something far more dangerous. She screenshot the message and forwarded it to Detective Morales and Rebecca Sterling. Then she typed a reply. "You just threatened my child's life in writing. I'm done being afraid of you. Now, you should be afraid of me." She hit send and blocked the number. At 10:34 p.m., Elena met with Thomas Walker and Rebecca Sterling in Rebecca's home office since Daniel and Marcus were on video call. They'd assembled an emergency council of war. "Victoria crossed a line today," Thomas said grimly, "threatening a child, calling in a fake school shooting scare. This isn't just harassment anymore. This is criminal." "We need to take the offensive," Daniel said through the screen. "Stop reacting to her moves and start making our own." "What do you suggest?" Elena asked. "We expose her, everything she's done, every threat, every crime. We take it to the media before she can spin her own version." "That puts Elena and Lily in an even bigger spotlight," Rebecca cautioned. "They're already in the spotlight. At least this way we control the narrative." "There's another option," Marcus said slowly. "We could give Victoria what she says she wants." Everyone stared at him. "Not the money," Marcus continued. "A meeting, face to face. Let her think she's winning, that Elena is ready to negotiate. Get her on tape admitting to everything she's done." "That's dangerous," Rebecca said. "Victoria is unstable. A face-to-face meeting could escalate unpredictably." "I'll do it." All eyes turned to Elena. "I said I'll do it. I'll meet with Victoria, I'll wear a wire, I'll get her to confess. Elena's voice was steel. She thinks I'm weak. She thinks I'm just a cleaning lady who got lucky. Let her underestimate me. Let her think she's won, and then we take everything. Elena, you're 8 months pregnant, Rebecca protested. I'm aware of my condition. I'm also aware that my daughter had to hide under her desk today because a psychopath decided to terrorize her school. Elena stood. I'm done waiting for someone else to solve this problem. Victoria Harrison wants a meeting. She's going to get one. At 11:47 p.m. Elena sent a message to the most recent number Victoria had used, unblocking you because we need to talk. You win. I can't fight you anymore. Not with Lily at risk. Name a time and place. I'll come alone. The response came within minutes. Finally showing some intelligence. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., the mansion. Just you and me. No lawyers, no police, no recording devices. Try anything stupid and your daughter pays the price. Elena screenshot the message and sent it to the group. Tomorrow at 2 p.m., the mansion. She wants me alone. You won't be alone, Thomas said. We'll be outside. Police will be standing by. The moment she incriminates herself, we move. And if something goes wrong, nothing is going to go wrong. David trusted you for a reason. You're stronger than you know. Elena looked at her phone, at Victoria's message, at the threat against her daughter. Tomorrow she would walk into the lion's den. Tomorrow she would face the woman who had made her life a living hell. Tomorrow everything would change. She just didn't know yet whether it would be for better or worse. At 6:15 a.m. the next morning, Elena woke Lily gently. Baby, you're going to stay with Mrs. Chen today. Mama has some important work to do. Are you meeting the bad lady? Elena hesitated. Her daughter knew too much, saw too much, understood too much for a 7-year-old. I'm going to make sure the bad lady never bothers us again. How? By being brave, by standing up to her, by showing her that she can't scare us anymore. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Daddy told me once that bullies only have power if you let them have power. He said the bravest thing you can do is look them in the eye and say no. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. Michael, speaking through their daughter even now. Your daddy was the smartest man I ever knew. I know, Lily hugged her tight. Be careful, Mama. I will, baby, I promise. At 1:15 p.m., Elena arrived at the mansion. Thomas Walker was parked a quarter-mile down the road watching through binoculars. Detective Morales and 2 other officers were positioned nearby, ready to move on signal. Elena wore a wire hidden in her maternity dress, transmitting everything to a recording device in Thomas's car. She was as prepared as she could possibly be. But walking up that long driveway toward the house she'd inherited, knowing Victoria Harrison waited inside Elena, had never felt more alone. At 1:58 p.m., she pushed open the front door. Victoria, I'm here. Footsteps on the marble floor. Victoria Harrison emerged from the shadows, dressed impeccably, as always, her cold eyes sweeping over Elena's pregnant form with undisguised contempt. The cleaning lady arrives, right on time. I came alone, like you asked. Smart girl. Victoria circled her slowly predatory. I must admit, you've impressed me. Most people would have crumbled by now, but you just keep fighting. I'm not here to fight, I'm here to talk. Talk, yes. Victoria stopped directly in front of Elena. Let's talk about what you're going to give me. What do you want exactly? What's mine by right? The house, the accounts, and whatever my uncle was hiding in that vault. The money in the vault isn't his. It came from... I don't care where it came from. I care that it exists, and I care that it should belong to me, not some random woman who happened to help a dying old man to his feet. Elena held her ground. The colonel chose me. He documented why. Any court will uphold his will. Courts, Victoria laughed. Courts are slow. Courts are expensive. Courts can be manipulated. She leaned closer. But threats? Threats work much faster. Like the threat you made against my daughter. I don't know what you're talking about. The phone call to her school, the lockdown, the 7-year-old hiding under her desk because someone called and said her name in connection with a threat. Victoria's smile widened. That must have been terrifying for her, poor little thing. Did you do it? Did I do what call a school and make vague threats about a child I've never met? Victoria shrugged. Prove it. The police are tracing the call. Burner phones are wonderfully anonymous, aren't they? Victoria's voice dropped to a whisper. Here's the thing, Elena. I have resources you can't imagine. Money, connections, people who owe me favors and don't ask questions. I can make your life impossible in 1,000 different ways, and you'll never be able to prove any of it. So you're admitting you made the call? I'm admitting nothing. I'm simply pointing out that things happen. Schools get lockdown threats, cars get vandalized, apartments catch fire, children get hurt on playgrounds." She paused. "Or they don't. It all depends on whether their mothers make smart decisions." Elena felt her blood boil. "You're threatening my daughter again." "I'm describing reality. Bad things happen to people who fight battles they can't win." Victoria stepped back. "Now, let's discuss how you're going to transfer everything to me." "I need to know something first." "What? Why do you hate me so much? I never did anything to you. I didn't even know you existed until you started threatening me." Victoria's expression flickered. Something ugly surfaced behind her eyes. "You didn't do anything. You took everything. My uncle spent his whole life accumulating wealth, building this house, hiding his precious secrets. And at the end, when it all should have come to me, to his blood, to his family, he gave it to a nobody, a cleaning woman, a stranger. He gave it to someone who showed him kindness." "Kindness," Victoria spat the word. "I showed him kindness for 50 years. I visited him. I called him. I tried to be part of his life, but it was never enough. I was never good enough. And then you come along, help him up off a floor once, and suddenly you're his precious chosen heir. Maybe if you'd been kind without expecting something in return." "Don't you dare lecture me about kindness. I've watched people like you my whole life, poor, struggling, always taking handouts, always playing the victim, and somehow you always end up with things you don't deserve." Victoria's voice rose. "My uncle's fortune is mine. This house is mine. That money in the vault is mine. And you're going to give it to me, or I swear to God I will make you wish you'd never been born." Elena took a deep breath. "No," Victoria blinked. "What? No, I'm not giving you anything. The Colonel chose me because he saw something in you that I see right now. You're selfish. You're cruel. You're everything he spent his life trying not to be." Elena stepped forward, her voice steady.
"You've got anyone, yeah."
"You can threaten me all you want. You can call my daughter's school. You can burn down my apartment. But I will never give you what you want, because you don't deserve it. And deep down, you know that." Victoria's face twisted with rage. "You stupid, stupid woman." "Maybe. But I'm a stupid woman with $260 million and the law on my side. What do you have? Threats, burner phones, anonymous tips." Elena smiled coldly. "The police are tracing every call you've made. The FBI is investigating your interference with their case. Every message you've sent me is documented. You think you're so smart, but you've left a trail a mile wide." "You're bluffing." "Am I? You told me to come alone. No police, no lawyers." Elena tilted her head. "But you didn't say anything about a wire." Victoria's face went white. "Every word you've said for the last 10 minutes has been transmitted to a police vehicle parked down the road. They heard you threaten my daughter. They heard you admit to using burner phones. They heard you confess to harassment and extortion. I'm a cleaning lady, Victoria. I've spent my whole life being underestimated by people like you, but I'm also a mother, and you made the biggest mistake of your life when you threatened my child." Sirens in the distance, growing closer. Victoria's head snapped toward the sound. "You called the police." "They've been listening the whole time. They're coming for you." "No, Victoria backed away. "No, this isn't happening." "It's happening. Everything you've done, every threat, every crime, it's all on tape. You're going to prison, Victoria, and my daughter is never going to hide under her desk because of you again." The front door burst open. Detective Morales entered with 4 officers. "Victoria Harrison, you're under arrest for criminal threatening harassment and making terroristic threats against a minor." "This is entrapment. She set me up." "Turn around." "Hands behind your back." Victoria lunged toward Elena. 2 officers grabbed her before she could make contact. "This isn't over," Victoria screamed as they dragged her toward the door. "You think you've won? I have lawyers, I have connections. I'll be out in hours and I'll destroy you." "Ma'am, you have the right to remain silent," Detective Morales said calmly. "I strongly suggest you exercise it." They hauled Victoria outside. Elena watched through the window as they put her in the back of a police car. As the sirens faded into the distance, carrying away the woman who had terrorized her family for days, Thomas Walker appeared beside her. "You did it. We did it, all of us." David would be proud. Elena placed her hand on her belly, feeling the baby kick. "I hope so, because this is just the beginning." "What do you mean, Tom? Victoria's arrested, but the money is still there. The federal investigation is still ongoing. I have a charitable foundation to build a family to protect and a promise to keep." Elena turned to face Thomas. "The Colonel trusted me with his legacy. I'm not going to let him down." "You haven't yet." Elena looked around at the mansion she'd inherited. The house that had been a burden and a mystery and now felt like something else entirely. A responsibility, a mission, a chance to transform dirty money into clean hope, betook the way the Colonel had always wanted. The fight with Victoria Harrison was over, but Elena's real work was just beginning. 3 days after Victoria Harrison's arrest, Elena stood in the federal building downtown, facing Agent Marcus Cole for the second time. The investigation had accelerated rapidly since Victoria's confession was played for the Department of Justice. Everything Elena had claimed about the money's origins was being verified piece by piece. "Mrs. Matthews?" Agent Cole gestured for her to sit. "Thank you for coming in. Do I have a choice?" "You always have a choice. That's what makes your cooperation so valuable." He opened a thick folder. "We've spent 72 hours analyzing the documentation Colonel Harrison left behind, the video testimonials, the financial records, the names of the officials involved in the original arms deals. And it checks out, every piece of it." Agent Cole leaned back. "The money in that vault is exactly what you said it was. Proceeds from illegal weapons sales in Central America, 1988. Most of the officials involved are dead. The few who aren't are already serving federal sentences for other crimes." Elena felt something loosen in her chest. "So what happens now?" "That's what I want to discuss with you." Agent Cole closed the folder. "Technically, those funds were obtained through illegal activity. The government could seize them, tie them up in litigation for decades, eventually absorb them into the Treasury where they'd disappear into the general budget."
Shit.
"The Colonel said that would happen. He said it was one of the reasons he hid the money instead of turning it over." "He was right. That's exactly what would happen under normal circumstances." Agent Cole paused. "But these aren't normal circumstances." "What do you mean?" "I've been doing this job for 18 years. I've seen a lot of dirty money, drug proceeds, embezzlement, fraud, but I've never seen someone sit on $250 million for 35 years without touching a penny of it. I've never seen someone protect illegal funds specifically so they could eventually be used for good. The Colonel was an extraordinary man. He was, and he chose an extraordinary person to carry on his mission." Agent Cole stood and walked to the window. "Mrs. Matthews, I'm going to recommend something unusual to my superiors. I'm going to recommend that the government decline to seize these funds." Elena's heart stopped. "What?" "Under federal asset forfeiture laws, we have discretion in cases where seizure would not serve the public interest. Your attorney has filed paperwork establishing a charitable foundation. The stated mission aligns with what Colonel Harrison documented as his wishes, and frankly, the optics of the federal government seizing money intended to help struggling families." He shook his head. "That's not a headline anyone wants." "You're letting me keep the money." "I'm recommending that the foundation be allowed to operate under strict oversight, annual audits, quarterly reporting, complete transparency in all expenditures." Agent Cole turned to face her. "This isn't a gift, Mrs. Matthews. This is a responsibility. You'll be accountable for every dollar. If there's any indication of misuse, any hint of impropriety, we will shut you down and seize everything." "I understand." "Do you? Because what you're taking on is enormous. $260 million in charitable assets. The scrutiny that comes with that, the expectations, the pressure." His eyes met hers. "Most people would crumble under that weight." "I'm not most people." "No, you're not." Agent Cole extended his hand. "Good luck, Mrs. Matthews. I have a feeling you're going to need it." At 3:47 p.m., Elena called Rebecca Sterling with the news. "They're not seizing the money, they're letting the foundation move forward." Silence on the other end. Then Rebecca said, "Elena, do you understand what just happened? The federal government just handed you control of $250 million. That doesn't happen, ever." The Colonel's documentation made the difference, his testimony, the squadron members' statements. "It wasn't just the documentation, it was you." Rebecca's voice softened. "Agent Cole called me before your meeting. He said he'd never seen anyone handle an interrogation the way you did. No lawyers present, no evasion, just straight truth. He said you reminded him of his grandmother." "His grandmother? She raised 6 kids alone during the Depression, worked 3 jobs, never complained, never gave up." Rebecca paused. "He said women like you and his grandmother are the backbone of this country, and he wasn't about to let the government break your back." Elena sat down hard, her hand pressed against her belly. The baby kicked as if celebrating the news. "So what happens now?" Now we build. The foundation paperwork is ready. We can start transferring funds into operating accounts immediately. Within 30 days, we can be making our first grants. 30 days! Elena's mind raced. There are families who need help right now. Today, families like mine was 6 weeks ago. Then let's get to work. At 7:23 p.m., Elena picked up Lily from Mrs. Chen's apartment. Her daughter ran into her arms with a force that almost knocked her over. Mama, Mrs. Chen said the bad lady is in jail. That's right, baby. She's not going to bother us anymore. What? And we get to keep our big house. We get to keep everything, and we're going to use it to help other families. Lily's face scrunched up in confusion. Help them how? Elena knelt down to her daughter's level. Remember when we didn't have enough money for groceries? When Mama had to choose between paying rent and buying you new shoes? Yeah. There are lots of families like that. Mamas and daddies who work really hard but still can't make ends meet. Kids who go to bed hungry. People who are scared because they might lose their homes. Elena took Lily's hands. The nice man who left us the big house wanted his money to help those people, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to give his money to people who need it. Yes. Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Daddy would like that. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. Yeah, baby. Daddy would like that a lot. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of activity. Elena worked 18-hour days, barely sleeping. Driven by a fierce determination to get the foundation operational as quickly as possible, Rebecca Sterling assembled a team of accountants, program managers, and social workers. Thomas Walker and the squadron members provided connections and credibility. At 9:15 a.m. on a Tuesday, Elena signed the final incorporation documents for the Harrison Legacy Foundation. It's official, Rebecca said. You're now the executive director of a $260 million charitable organization. I was a cleaning lady 6 weeks ago. You're still a cleaning lady, you just have a bigger mop now. Elena laughed. It felt strange laughing. She couldn't remember the last time she'd genuinely laughed. Her phone buzzed, a text from Thomas. Turn on Channel 5, now. Elena grabbed the remote and switched on the television in Rebecca's conference room. A news anchor was speaking. In a stunning development, documents obtained by this station reveal that the Harrison Legacy Foundation, recently established by Phoenix resident Elena Matthews, received its initial funding from money connected to illegal arms deals in the 1980s. Federal sources confirm that nearly $260 million in cash was discovered hidden in a vault beneath the Harrison estate. Elena's blood went cold. Critics are questioning why federal authorities allowed the foundation to proceed despite the money's criminal origins. Congressman Robert Teller of the House Oversight Committee has called for an immediate investigation. How did they get those documents? Elena demanded. Rebecca was already on the phone. I don't know. Our filings are sealed. The federal investigation is confidential. She listened for a moment, her face going pale. I understand, thank you. She hung up and looked at Elena. Victoria Harrison. She's in jail. She has lawyers, friends, people who owe her favors. Rebecca's jaw tightened. She leaked the documents from inside her cell. She's still trying to destroy you. At 11:34 a.m., Elena's phone began ringing nonstop. Reporters, news stations, podcast hosts, everyone wanted to comment on the Blood Money Foundation. She ignored them all. At 1:15 p.m., Thomas Walker arrived at Rebecca's office with Daniel Chen and Marcus Rivera. The squadron had reassembled. We've got a problem, Thomas said. The story is spreading. National outlets are picking it up. By tonight, Elena's face will be on every news channel in the country. As the woman who inherited dirty money and tried to launder it through a fake charity, Marcus added grimly. It's not fake, Elena said. The foundation is real. Our mission is real. We know that, but the public doesn't. Daniel paced the room. Victoria is winning the narrative war. She's making you look like a criminal, even from behind bars. Then we fight back. See? Everyone turned to look at Elena. We go public, not just with a statement, with everything. The Colonel's full story, the documentation, the testimonials. We show people exactly what this money is and what we're going to do with it. That's risky, Rebecca cautioned. You'll be exposing yourself to even more scrutiny. I'm already exposed. Victoria made sure of that. Elena stood, her hands pressed against her belly. The Colonel spent 35 years hiding in the shadows. He did that because he had to, but I don't. The truth is on our side. Let's use it. At 4:47 p.m., Elena stood before a hastily assembled press conference in Rebecca Sterling's office building. 20 reporters, 15 cameras, countless microphones pointed at her face. She was terrified, but she thought about Lily. about the baby, about all the families who were counting on her without even knowing it. She began to speak. My name is Elena Matthews. 6 weeks ago, I was a cleaning lady working 3 jobs to support my daughter and my unborn child. My husband had died of cancer 3 months before leaving me with nothing but debt and grief. She paused, letting the words sink in. Then I received a letter informing me that a man I'd helped once, a man I'd known for only 3 weeks, had left me his entire estate. That estate included a house, bank accounts, and yes, $260 million in cash hidden in a vault. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. I know what you're thinking. I thought the same thing. This has to be a mistake. This has to be dirty money. No one inherits $250 million by helping an old man to his feet. She pulled out the colonel's letter. But Colonel David Harrison wasn't just any old man. He was a decorated Air Force pilot who flew classified missions for 35 years. And in 1988, he found himself in possession of money that came from illegal arms deals run by corrupt American officials.
Wait, commute.
The room went silent. He could have taken that money for himself. He could have disappeared, lived a life of luxury, and no one would have ever known. But that wasn't who David Harrison was. Instead, he hid the money, protected it, documented its origins, and waited for the right moment, the right person to transform it into something good. Elena looked directly into the cameras. He chose me, not because I'm special, not because I'm smart or connected or powerful. He chose me because I stopped to help him when everyone else walked past. He chose me because he believed that kindness matters, that good hearts can do great things. She held up the folder of documentation. Everything I'm telling you is verified. The federal government has examined the colonel's evidence and declined to seize these funds because they agree that using this money for charity serves the public interest better than letting it disappear into government bureaucracy. A reporter shouted, "What about the allegations that you're laundering money through the foundation? Those allegations come from Victoria Harrison, the colonel's niece, who is currently in jail for threatening my 7-year-old daughter. She spent the last 3 weeks trying to steal this inheritance because she believes blood relation matters more than character." She paused. The colonel disagreed, and so do I. Another reporter. "How do we know you won't just take the money and run?" "You don't. You have my word, which I know means nothing to people who don't know me." Elena straightened. "But you'll also have federal oversight. Annual audits, complete transparency. Every dollar this foundation spends will be documented and publicly available. If I misuse a single penny, shut me down. But give me the chance to prove that dirty money can be cleaned, that something good can come from something terrible." At 6:23 p.m., Elena watched the news coverage of her press conference. The narrative was shifting. Instead of blood money scandal, headlines were reading "Cleaning Lady's Incredible Inheritance" and "Widow Vows to Transform Dirty Money into Hope." Thomas Walker sat beside her. "David would be proud of you." "I don't know what I'm doing. I'm making this up as I go." That's what David did for 35 years. The difference is, you're not doing it alone. At 8:45 p.m., Elena's phone rang. Detective Morales. "Mrs. Matthews, I wanted to let you know that Victoria Harrison attempted to escape custody this afternoon." Elena's blood went cold. "What?" She convinced a guard to help her during a transfer. The escape was unsuccessful. Both she and the guard are now in maximum security and additional charges are being filed. "She tried to escape, to come after me. We don't know her intentions, but given her history, we're increasing security monitoring on your residence and your daughter's school." "Is Lily safe?" "Your daughter is safe. Victoria Harrison is locked up tighter than Fort Knox. She's not getting out." Detective Morales paused. "But Mrs. Matthews, I want you to understand something. People like Victoria don't give up. Even from prison, she'll keep trying to hurt you. You need to be prepared for a long fight." "I've been fighting my whole life, Detective. One more enemy doesn't scare me." At 10:15 p.m., Elena sat in Lily's room watching her daughter sleep. The press conference had drained her. The news about Victoria's escape attempt had shaken her. But looking at Lily's peaceful face, she felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Her heart stopped. Was it Victoria again? Had she found another way to reach her? She opened the message. "Mrs. Matthews, my name is Sarah Collins. I saw you on the news tonight. I'm a single mother of 3. My husband died last year. I'm about to lose my house. I don't know where else to turn. Is your foundation really going to help people like me?" Elena stared at the message. Then she typed back, "Yes, we're going to help people exactly like you. Can you tell me more about your situation?" The response came immediately. Thank you so much. I've been praying for a miracle." Elena smiled through her tears. This was why the Colonel had chosen her. This was why she'd fought so hard. This was the beginning. 3 weeks later, the Harrison Legacy Foundation made its first grant, $47,000 to Sarah Collins, enough to pay off her mortgage arrears and keep her family in their home. Elena was there when Sarah received the news. Watched a woman who'd been on the brink of despair collapse into tears of relief. Watched 3 children realize they wouldn't have to leave their school, their friends, their bedrooms. "I don't know how to thank you," Sarah sobbed. "Thank Colonel David Harrison. This is his legacy. I'm just carrying it forward." At 2:30 p.m. the next day, Elena went into labor. It started with a sharp pain during a board meeting. She tried to ignore it, but Rebecca noticed immediately. "Elena, are you all right?" "I'm fine, just Braxton Hicks." That didn't look like Braxton Hicks. Another contraction hit stronger this time. Elena gripped the table. Okay, that wasn't Braxton Hicks. Thomas drove her to the hospital while Rebecca called Mrs. Chen to stay with Lily. The contractions came faster, stronger, closer together. At 7:47 p.m., after 5 hours of labor, Elena gave birth to a baby boy. She held him in her arms, this tiny, perfect creature she'd carried through grief and fear and struggle and triumph. He had Michael's chin, her eyes, a future she could finally believe in. "What are you going to name him?" the nurse asked. Elena looked at her son, thought about the man who had started all of this, the pilot who had trusted a cleaning lady with his life's work. "David," she said. "His name is David." At 9:15 p.m., Lily arrived at the hospital with Mrs. Chen. She approached the bed slowly, eyes wide, staring at the tiny bundle in her mother's arms. "Is that my brother?" "Yes, baby, this is David. He's so small. You were this small once." Lily reached out one finger and gently touched the baby's hand. David's tiny fingers wrapped around hers. "He's holding my hand, Mama." "He knows you're his big sister. He knows you're going to protect him." Lily looked up at Elena with those 2 old eyes. "I will, Mama. I'll protect him forever, just like you protected us." Elena pulled her daughter close, holding both her children, crying tears. She didn't try to stop. She'd lost so much. Michael, her security, her sense of who she was. But she'd gained so much more. At 11:30 p.m., Thomas Walker appeared in the doorway of her hospital room. Lily had fallen asleep in the chair beside Elena's bed. Baby David slept peacefully in his mother's arms. "I didn't want to disturb you," Thomas said quietly, "but I thought you'd want to know. Victoria Harrison's case went to the grand jury today. She's been indicted on 17 counts: extortion, making terroristic threats, conspiracy, attempted escape. How long will she get? If convicted on all counts, 20 to 30 years. Elena closed her eyes. 20 to 30 years. Victoria Harrison would be an old woman before she saw freedom again. "It's over, Elena. You won." "No." Elena opened her eyes. "It's not over. It's just beginning. The foundation is just getting started. There are thousands of families out there who need help. Mothers like I was, children like Lily was, people who are one disaster away from losing everything. You can't save everyone. No, but I can save some, and maybe the people I save will save others. And maybe someday this dirty money will have done so much good that no one remembers where it came from." Thomas smiled. "David used to say something like that. He said every dollar of blood money that feeds a child or houses a family is a dollar washed clean. Then let's wash it all clean, every penny." 2 months later, Elena stood in the mansion she'd inherited, watching Lily run through the halls that had once felt haunted. Baby David slept in a nursery she'd created from one of the 6 bedrooms. The house no longer felt like a burden. It felt like a home. The foundation was thriving. They'd helped 47 families in 8 weeks. Paid off mortgages, covered medical bills, funded scholarships. Every week brought new applications, new stories, new opportunities to transform despair into hope. At 3:15 p.m., Rebecca Sterling arrived with a folder of financial reports. 3 months in, and we've distributed $2.3 million in grants. At this rate, we'll exhaust the principal in about 10 years. That's the plan, isn't it? Use the money, do good, eventually shut down because there's nothing left to give. Most foundations try to exist in perpetuity, build endowments, create legacies. The Colonel's legacy isn't a building or an endowment. It's the lives we change. Elena looked out the window at the desert hills. When the money's gone, the foundation's work will live on in every family we helped, every child we educated, every mother we kept from drowning. You really believe that? I have to believe it. Otherwise, what's the point? At 5:30 p.m., Elena received a letter from the Arizona State Board of Education. She'd applied for a scholarship program to be named in Michael's memory. The board had approved full funding for 50 scholarships annually. She held the letter with trembling hands. Michael Matthews Memorial Scholars. Her husband's name attached to something beautiful, something lasting. She called Lily into the room. "Baby, come look at this." "Plus." Lily read the letter slowly, her lips moving as she sounded out the bigger words. When she finished, she looked up at her mother with tears in her eyes. "Daddy's helping kids go to college. Daddy's helping kids go to college. Even though he's gone. Even though he's gone." Elena pulled her daughter close. "That's what legacies are, baby. The good we do lives on after we're gone. Daddy's goodness is helping children now, just like Colonel Harrison's goodness is helping families now. And your goodness, Mama," Elena smiled through her tears. "Maybe someday. We'll see." At 8:47 p.m., Elena sat in the Colonel's study, now her study writing in a journal she'd started after baby David was born. Dear Colonel Harrison, 8 weeks ago, you entrusted me with something impossible, $260 million, and a mission to transform it from blood money into hope. I was terrified, certain I'd fail, certain I wasn't strong enough or smart enough or brave enough. But you saw some things in me I didn't see in myself. You saw a woman who stopped to help a stranger. You saw a mother who would fight for her children. You saw strength I didn't know I had. Today we helped our 48th family, a single father whose wife died of cancer, 3 children who were about to become homeless. We paid their rent for a year. We funded grief counseling for the kids. We gave them a chance to heal. I thought about you the whole time. I thought about how you must have felt sitting in this same study protecting a fortune you couldn't use, waiting for someone worthy to carry on your work. I hope I'm worthy. I'm trying to be. Lily is thriving. She tells everyone at school that her mom helps people for a living. She's so proud. I hope you can see her somehow. I think you'd love her. Baby David is growing every day. He has your name. I hope that doesn't seem presumptuous. I wanted him to carry something of you with him. A reminder of the man who made all of this possible. Victoria is in prison. She'll probably die there. Part of me feels sorry for her. She wanted so badly to be seen as important, to be valued, to be someone. She just chose the wrong way to do it. But I don't have much time for sympathy. There are too many people who need help, too much work to do, too many lives to change. I promise you, Colonel. I promise I will use every dollar of this money to do good. I will wash every penny clean with kindness and hope and love. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for seeing me when no one else did. I won't let you down. Elena. She closed the journal and looked at the photograph of the Colonel she'd placed on the desk. Young, handsome, full of life and confidence. I hope you're at peace, she whispered. I hope you know that your burden is in good hands. The photograph didn't answer, but somehow in the quiet of the study, Elena felt like she wasn't alone. At 11:15 p.m., Elena checked on her children one last time before bed. Lily slept with a small smile on her face, dreaming whatever dreams 7-year-olds dream. Baby David slept peacefully in his crib, his tiny chest rising and falling. Elena stood between their rooms, her heart full of a love so fierce it almost hurt. She'd started this journey alone. A widow, a cleaning lady, a woman with $47 and no hope. Now she had a family, a foundation, a purpose. She had $260 million and the chance to change the world. And she had the memory of a dying pilot who'd looked at her and seen something worth believing in. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new families to help, new obstacles to overcome. Victoria's shadow might still reach from her prison cell. The federal government would continue watching. The media would keep asking questions. But Elena Matthews wasn't afraid anymore. She'd learned something in the past 3 months. Something the Colonel had known all along. The greatest strength isn't wealth or power or connections. The greatest strength is a good heart. And Elena's heart was strong enough to carry any burden. 1 year after Elena Matthews discovered the vault, the Harrison Legacy Foundation celebrated its first anniversary by announcing its 500th family assisted. The number seemed impossible when Elena saw it written on the press release. 500 families. 500 stories of desperation transformed into hope. 500 reasons why a dying colonel's trust had not been misplaced. At 9:30 a.m. on the anniversary morning, Elena stood in the mansion's grand hall, surrounded by her team, her family and the squadron members who had become her closest advisors. Baby David, now 10 months old, squirmed in her arms. Lily, 8 years old and wise beyond her years, held a balloon that read 500 families strong. Speech time, boss, Rebecca Sterling said with a smile. Elena looked at the faces around her. Thomas Walker, gray-haired and steady. Daniel Chen and Marcus Rivera, who had flown in from Colorado and Florida for the occasion. The social workers and accountants and program managers who made the foundation run. The families they'd helped, some of whom had traveled hours to be here. I'm not much for speeches, Elena began. A year ago, I was cleaning toilets for minimum wage, wondering how I was going to feed my daughter. A year ago, I found out that a man I'd known for 3 weeks had left me everything he had. A year ago, I opened a vault and found $260 million that changed my life forever. She paused, feeling the weight of the moment. But this isn't about me. It was never about me. This is about Colonel David Harrison, who spent 35 years protecting something he couldn't use, waiting for the right person to carry on his mission. This is about 500 families who were drowning until someone threw them a lifeline. This is about proving that dirty money can be washed clean with good works. She looked down at David in her arms. My son is named after the colonel. Someday, when he's old enough to understand, I'm going to tell him the story of a pilot who chose conscience over comfort, who carried a burden alone for decades so that others could benefit, who looked at a cleaning lady and saw someone worth trusting with everything. Her voice cracked. I hope I've earned that trust. I hope when I see the colonel again, someday he'll tell me I did okay. Thomas Walker stepped forward and put a hand on her shoulder. You did more than okay, Elena. You did exactly what David knew you would. At 11:15 a.m., Elena's phone rang, a number she didn't recognize, but something made her answer. Mrs. Matthews, this is Dr. Patricia Hernandez at Phoenix Memorial Hospital. I'm calling about Victoria Harrison. Elena's blood went cold. What about her? She was transferred to our facility last night from the prison infirmary. Stage 4, pancreatic cancer. She's asking to see you. The words hit Elena like a physical blow. Pancreatic cancer, the same disease that had killed Colonel Harrison, the same disease that had led to their meeting in the first place. She's dying. The doctors give her weeks, maybe days. Dr. Hernandez paused. She says she needs to tell you something. She says it's important. Elena looked across the room at Lily laughing with the other children at the party, at baby David sleeping peacefully now in Rebecca's arms, at the life she'd built from the ashes of Victoria's attempts to destroy her. I'll come. At 2:47 p.m., Elena walked into Victoria Harrison's hospital room. The woman lying in the bed bore little resemblance to the predator who had terrorized her a year ago. Cancer had hollowed her out, leaving behind a skeleton draped in papery skin. Tubes ran from her arms. Monitors beeped steadily. You came. Victoria's voice was barely a whisper. Your doctor said you had something to tell me. I do. Victoria struggled to sit up, failed, and fell back against the pillows. I need to apologize. Elena said nothing. I know you don't believe me. I wouldn't believe me either. Victoria's eyes, still sharp despite everything, met Elena's. I spent my whole life being angry. Angry at my father for dying. Angry at Uncle David for having money he wouldn't share. Angry at the world for not giving me what I deserved. You threatened my daughter. I know. That's what I'm apologizing for. Victoria's hand trembled as she reached toward Elena. I was so consumed with hatred that I would have hurt a child to get what I wanted. What does that make me? A monster? Yes. Victoria didn't flinch from the word. A monster. That's exactly what I was. She paused, coughing weakly. But do you know what the worst part is? Even if I'd gotten the money, it wouldn't have made me happy. Nothing ever made me happy. I was empty inside, and I thought wealth would fill the void. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm dying, and I don't want to die with lies on my lips. Victoria's eyes filled with tears. Uncle David chose you because you had something I never had. A good heart. He saw it in you the moment you helped him up from that floor. He spent his whole life looking for someone like you. He never considered leaving it to you. Once, a long time ago, he told me I could have everything if I proved I deserved it. I asked him how. He said, go volunteer at a homeless shelter for a year. Help people without expecting anything in return. Then we'll talk. Victoria laughed bitterly. I told him to go to hell. I said I didn't need to prove anything to anyone. And he cut you off. He cut me off because he saw what I refused to see. That I was broken in ways money couldn't fix. Victoria's hand found Elena's and gripped it with surprising strength. Promise me something. What? Keep doing what you're doing. Help people. Change lives. Make Uncle David's money mean something. Her voice broke. I wasted my whole life being angry. Don't let me waste my death too. Elena looked at the woman who had caused her so much pain, the woman who had threatened her child, the woman who had tried to destroy everything good in her life, and she felt something she never expected to feel. Pity. "I promise." Victoria's grip loosened. Her eyes closed. "Thank you." At 4:15 p.m., Elena received a call from the hospital. Victoria Harrison had passed away quietly in her sleep 3 hours after their conversation. Elena sat in her car in the hospital parking lot trying to process what had just happened. Her greatest enemy was dead. The woman who had haunted her nightmares for a year was gone. She should have felt relief. Victory, closure. Instead, she felt sad. Sad for a woman who had spent her whole life chasing something that was never going to fill the emptiness inside her. Sad for the wasted years, the wasted potential, the wasted life. Her phone buzzed. A text from Lily. "Mama, when are you coming home? David is crying for you." Elena wiped her eyes and started the car. Victoria Harrison was gone. But Elena's family was waiting. 3 years later, the Harrison Legacy Foundation had become one of the most respected charitable organizations in the country. They'd helped over 3,000 families, distributed more than $47 million grants, created programs that were being replicated by foundations across the nation. At 10:30 a.m. on a Tuesday, Elena received a phone call that would change everything again. "Mrs. Matthews, this is Janet Perkins from the Governor's Council on Charitable Excellence. I'm calling to inform you that you've been nominated for the National Philanthropy Award." Elena nearly dropped the phone. "The what?" "It's the highest honor in American charitable work. You'd be the youngest recipient in the award's history, and the first former cleaning lady." "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll accept the nomination. The ceremony is in Washington next month. The president will be presenting the award." At 7:15 p.m. that evening, Elena gathered her family and team for dinner at the mansion. Lily, now 11, sat next to her mother. David, 3 years old, sat in a high chair making a mess of his spaghetti. Thomas Walker, Daniel Chen, and Marcus Rivera had become honorary uncles to her children. Rebecca Sterling had become more than a lawyer. She'd become family. "I have news," Elena announced. "Good news or bad news?" Lily asked. "Good news, I think." Elena took a breath. "I've been nominated for the National Philanthropy Award." The table erupted. Cheers, applause. Thomas Walker banged his fist on the table with joy. "David would be so proud," Thomas said, his eyes glistening. "The president is presenting it. In Washington, next month." Lily's eyes went wide. "We're going to meet the president." "We're going to meet the president." David, not understanding but catching the excitement, banged his spoon on his high chair and shouted, "President!" Everyone laughed. Elena pulled her son close, breathing in his baby smell, feeling her heart overflow with gratitude. 4 years ago, she'd been invisible. Now she was going to shake hands with the President of the United States. At 2:00 p.m. on the day of the ceremony, Elena stood backstage at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. She wore a simple blue dress, nothing fancy, nothing expensive. She'd considered buying something designer for the occasion, but it hadn't felt right. The Colonel hadn't chosen her because she was glamorous. He'd chosen her because she was real. Lily stood beside her, holding David's hand. Her daughter had grown so much in the past 4 years. Tall and confident and wise. "Mama, are you nervous?" "Terrified?" "Daddy used to say that being nervous means you care about something." Elena smiled. Michael's words living on through their daughter. "Your daddy was a smart man." "I know." Lily squeezed her mother's hand. "He'd be really proud of you right now." "You think so?" "I know so. He always said you were the strongest person he ever met." The stage manager appeared. "Mrs. Matthews, they're ready for you. Elena took a deep breath, smoothed her dress, looked at her children. "Here we go." She walked onto the stage to thunderous applause. 2,000 people in the audience. Cameras broadcasting to millions more. The President of the United States waiting at the podium. "Ladies and gentlemen," the President began, "it is my honor to present this year's National Philanthropy Award to a woman whose story reminds us all of what is possible when we choose kindness over greed, service over self-interest, and hope over fear." Elena listened to her own biography being read. Widow, cleaning lady, mother, inheritor of a fortune she never expected. Founder of a foundation that had changed thousands of lives. In 4 years, the Harrison Legacy Foundation has distributed over $47 million in aid to struggling families. They've prevented more than 1,000 foreclosures, funded over 300 college scholarships, provided emergency assistance to domestic violence survivors, medical debt relief to the terminally ill, and job training to single parents trying to rebuild their lives. The president turned to face Elena. Mrs. Matthews, Colonel David Harrison chose you because he saw something special, a good heart, a strong spirit, the courage to carry the burden that would have crushed lesser people. He extended the crystal trophy. On behalf of a grateful nation, thank you for proving him right. Elena accepted the award with shaking hands. The applause washed over her like a wave. She stepped to the microphone. 4 years ago, I was cleaning toilets at a VA hospital in Phoenix. I stopped to help an old man who had fallen in his room. We talked for 20 minutes. 3 weeks later, he died. And 6 weeks after that, I found out he'd left me everything. She held up the award. This doesn't belong to me. It belongs to Colonel David Harrison, who spent 35 years protecting something precious so it could eventually do good in the world. It belongs to Thomas Walker, Daniel Chen, and Marcus Rivera, who helped me understand what I'd inherited and how to honor it. It belongs to my children, who give me a reason to keep fighting. And it belongs to every family we've helped, every life. Life we've changed every person who was drowning until someone threw them a rope. She looked directly into the camera. If you're watching this and you're struggling, I want you to know something. 4 years ago, I had $47 to my name. I was a widow with a daughter pregnant with my second child, working 3 jobs and still falling behind. I thought my life was over. Her voice strengthened. But it wasn't over. It was just beginning. Because someone saw me when I felt invisible. Someone believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And that changed everything. She held the award high. This is proof that dirty money can be washed clean. That good hearts can change the world. That kindness matters more than wealth or power or connections. Colonel Harrison knew that. And now I know it too. She paused. Thank you for this honor. But more importantly, thank you for reminding me why I do this work. It's not for awards. It's not for recognition. It's for the families who are counting on us. The mothers who are scared. The fathers who are struggling. The children who deserve better. Elena took a breath. We're not done yet. We're just getting started. The applause that followed was the loudest of the evening. 5 years after the Washington ceremony, the Harrison Legacy Foundation had distributed its 100 millionth dollar. Elena stood in the same mansion where she'd discovered the vault, surrounded by the people who had made it all possible. Lily, 16, now stood tall and confident beside her mother. She'd already started volunteering with the foundation, reviewing applications, meeting with families, learning the work from the ground up. David, 8 years old, sat at the table drawing pictures. He'd inherited his namesake's sharp blue eyes and his father, Michael's, gentle heart. Thomas Walker, now in his 80s, sat in the colonel's old study chair. He'd become a grandfather figure to Elena's children, visiting every month, telling stories about their unlikely benefactor. $100 million, Thomas said quietly. David never imagined it would go this fast. We still have $160 million left, Elena reminded him. At this rate, you'll exhaust the fund in another 8 to 10 years. That was always the plan. Use the money, change lives. Eventually close down because there's nothing left to give. And then what? Elena smiled. And then the people we helped will help others. The ripples will keep spreading long after the foundation is gone. At 7:30 p.m., Elena's phone rang, a number she didn't recognize. Mrs. Matthews, my name is James Collins. I think you knew my mother, Sarah Collins. Sarah Collins, the first family the foundation had ever helped, the single mother who had been about to lose her house. Of course I remember Sarah. How is she? She passed away last year. Cancer. Elena's heart clenched. I'm so sorry, I didn't know. It was quick. She didn't suffer. James paused. The reason I'm calling is because of something she said before she died. She made me promise to tell you. Tell me what? She said that you saved her life, that when everyone else had given up on our family, you believed in us. She said the day she got that grant from your foundation was the day she started believing in miracles again. Elena felt tears streaming down her face. She also said to tell you that she used to pray every night for you and your children. She said you were proof that angels walk among us. James's voice cracked. I just wanted you to know that. I wanted you to know that because of you, my mother died happy. She died knowing her children were safe. Thank you for telling me that. No, Mrs. Matthews, thank you for everything. After the call ended, Elena sat in the colonel's study crying softly. Sarah Collins was gone, but her children were safe. Her family was intact. Her legacy lived on. That was the whole point, wasn't it? Not to save everyone, but to save some, and to trust that the people you saved would save others. 10 years after discovering the vault, Elena received a letter that would bring her journey full circle. It was from Lily. Her daughter had just turned 21. She was in her junior year of college studying social work, planning to join the foundation full-time after graduation. "Dear Mom, I've been thinking a lot lately about Daddy, about Colonel Harrison, about everything that brought us here. When I was 7 years old, I hid under my desk at school because a crazy woman called in a threat against me. I thought our lives were over. I thought we'd never be safe again. Now I'm 21 years old. I'm studying to do what you do. I want to spend my life helping families like ours was helped. I want to be part of the legacy you've built. You always say Colonel Harrison chose you because you had a good heart, but I think it was more than that. I think he saw something in you that took the rest of us years to understand. He saw someone who would never give up, someone who would fight for her children, for her mission, for everything she believed in, someone who would take his burden and transform it into something beautiful. Mom, you didn't just inherit his money, you inherited his purpose, and you've honored it better than anyone could have imagined. I'm so proud to be your daughter. I love you, Lily." Elena read the letter 3 times. Then she walked to the Colonel's photograph on her desk and held it up. "I think we did okay," she whispered. "I think we did exactly what you hoped we would." At 8:00 p.m. on the 10th anniversary of the foundation, Elena gathered her entire team for a special announcement. David, now 13, sat beside his sister Lily, who had officially joined the foundation as associate director. Thomas Walker, 90 years old and using a wheelchair, now still made the trip from Texas for important occasions. Daniel Chen and Marcus Rivera sat beside him. In the last survivors of Squadron 77 Delta, Rebecca Sterling, now a close friend as well as legal counsel, stood beside Elena. "Today marks 10 years since a cleaning lady opened a vault and found $250 million, Elena began. 10 years since I promised a dying colonel that I would transform his burden into a blessing." She looked around the room at the faces of people who had become her family. "In 10 years, we've helped over 15,000 families, distributed more than $180 million in aid, created programs that have been adopted by foundations across the country and around the world." Murmurs of appreciation rippled through the room. "We have approximately $80 million left in the fund. At our current rate of distribution, we'll exhaust those funds in about 5 years." Silence. "Some of you are wondering what happens then. Some of you are worried about your jobs, your futures, the families. We won't be able to help once the money is gone." Elena smiled. "I want to tell you a story. When I first found that vault, when I first read the Colonel's letter, I was terrified. I thought I'd been handed a curse disguised as a blessing. I thought I'd spend the rest of my life running from people who wanted to take what didn't belong to them." She looked at Thomas Walker. "But Thomas told me something that changed my perspective. He said the Colonel didn't hide that money because he wanted it to last forever. He hid it because he wanted it to do good. Every dollar spent helping someone is a dollar that fulfilled its purpose." She turned back to the room. "When the money is gone, this building will become a community center. Our programs will be taken over by partners we've cultivated over the past decade. Our staff will transition to positions at organizations we've helped establish across the country." Her voice strengthened. "The Harrison Legacy Foundation will not last forever, but its impact will. The families we've helped will help others. The programs we've created will continue. The ripples of kindness we've sent out into the world will keep spreading long after this organization closes its doors." Lily stood and walked to her mother's side. "I've decided to continue the work in a different way," Lily announced. "I'm establishing a new scholarship program in my grandmother's name. My father's parents have contributed the seed money. It will fund education for children from families the foundation has helped." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "You didn't tell me." "I wanted it to be a surprise." Lily hugged her mother. "You taught me that legacies aren't about buildings or bank accounts. They're about the lives we touch. The Colonel touched your life. You touched thousands of others. Now it's my turn." Thomas Walker struggled to his feet. Daniel and Marcus helped him stand. "I want to say something," Thomas said, his voice wavering but strong. "I've known David Harrison for over 60 years. We flew together, fought together, kept secrets together, and I was there the day he found that money in Nicaragua." The room fell absolutely silent. David spent 35 years carrying a burden he couldn't share. 35 years of silence and secrecy and loneliness. He never married, never had children, gave up his chance at a normal life to protect something he believed could change the world. Thomas's eyes met Elena's. "He chose you because he saw what the rest of us saw. A woman who stops to help strangers. A mother who fights for her children. A heart that doesn't know how to give up." He raised a trembling hand. "To Colonel David Harrison, to the woman who honored his trust, and to every life that's been changed because a cleaning lady stopped to help an old man who had fallen. The room echoed the toast. To Colonel David Harrison. That night, after everyone had gone home, Elena walked alone through the mansion that had become her home, past the living room where Lily had taken her first steps as a confident young woman, past the kitchen where David had learned to cook beside his mother, past the study where she'd written hundreds of letters to the colonel telling him about her progress, her setbacks, her hopes. She descended the stairs to the basement, to the vault that had changed her life. The door stood open now. They'd stopped locking it years ago. The shelves that had once held $260 million were nearly empty. Just a few bundles of cash remained carefully counted and documented, waiting to be distributed. Elena picked up one of the bundles, felt the weight of it in her hands. "We're almost done," she whispered to the empty room. "Almost everything you left me has gone to families who needed it. Mothers who were struggling, children who were hungry, people who thought no one cared." She set the bundle back down. "I hope you're at peace now. I hope wherever you are, you know that your sacrifice wasn't wasted, that the burden you carried alone for 35 years has been transformed into something beautiful." She touched the vault door. "Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for believing that a cleaning lady with $47 to her name could change the world." She turned off the light and climbed the stairs. Lily was waiting at the top. "You okay, Mom?" "I'm perfect, baby. I'm absolutely perfect. Missing the colonel? Always, but not in a sad way, in a grateful way." Elena put her arm around her daughter. "He gave me everything, Lily. Not just the money. He gave me purpose. He gave me faith in myself. He gave me the chance to prove that good hearts can change the world. You did change the world. We changed the world. Together. All of us." They walked through the house, turning off lights, checking doors. The same routine Elena had followed for 10 years. The routine of a woman who had learned that safety wasn't about money or power. It was about love, family, purpose. At the front door, Elena paused and looked back at the mansion that had once terrified her. "You know what I remember most about the day I found this place?" she asked Lily. "What?" "How scared I was. I thought I'd inherited a burden I couldn't carry. I thought the money would destroy me. I thought I was in over my head." "But you weren't." "No, I wasn't." Elena smiled. "Because the colonel didn't give me a burden. He gave me a gift, the gift of believing in something bigger than myself, the gift of knowing that one person can make a difference." She opened the door and stepped onto the porch, her daughter beside her, her son sleeping upstairs, her mission almost complete. "Lily, when I'm gone, I want you to remember something." "What?" "The money will run out someday. The foundation will close. But what we did, the lives we changed, the hope we spread, that will last forever. That's the real inheritance. Not dollars, not buildings, the love we put into the world." Lily hugged her mother tight. "I'll remember, Mom, I promise." Elena looked up at the stars, thinking about Michael, about Colonel Harrison, about all the people who had helped her become who she was. "We did it," she whispered to the night sky. "We washed every penny clean." And standing there on the porch of a mansion she'd inherited from a stranger's kindness, surrounded by the legacy of love she'd built, Elena Matthews knew that she'd honored her promise. She'd taken dirty money and transformed it into hope. She'd taken a dying man's burden and made it a blessing. She'd proven that ordinary people could do extraordinary things, and she'd shown the world what a good heart could accomplish. Colonel David Harrison had believed in her when no one else did. Now 15,000 families believed in her too. That was the true inheritance. That was the legacy worth keeping. That was what it meant to have a good heart in a world that desperately needed one. Elena Matthews had started with $47 and a dying husband's apology. She ended with a fortune beyond measure, the knowledge that she had made a difference. And that difference would ripple outward forever. Because kindness once given never truly ends. It just keeps growing, spreading, touching lives that the original giver will never know. That was the Colonel's final lesson. That was Elena's ultimate truth. And that was the ending that was really a beginning. For the families yet to be helped. For the children yet to be saved. For the world that still needed proof that good hearts exist. Elena Matthews was that proof. And she always would be.